Kicking off the list at number 10, we have Dawnbreaker. This version of Bruce Wayne first appeared in Dark Days The Casting issue 1, residing in, of course, the Dark Multiverse on Earth 32. The story picks up with the usual Bruce Wayne origins. His parents are both taken out by Joe Chill that night, but here young Bruce Wayne comes into contact with a Green Lantern ring. So Bruce approaches Joe and he's pretty pissed at this point. He's going for blood right off the bat. He ended up turning Joe Chill into bones and dust. And then when Bruce met Gordon, they got off on the wrong foot initially as well. Gordon greets him and he's like, Green Lantern, wasn't sure you'd show up. And then Bruce straight up's like, hey man, don't threaten me. Really awkward vibes, just quick awkward vibes right off the bat. No friendship there. He was taking out Gotham's villains super quick. Each time he did it, he would scream and yell about how much his parents deserved to not be dead. He flew the Penguin into outer space. That's how you handle a guy right there. You take him and you go, right off planet. Okay, so with all of these brutal assassinations, the rest of the Green Lanterns knew they had to come and put a stop to this madness. Only it wasn't that easy. Bruce destroyed all of them. He executed the entire Guardians of the Universe. Beware his power, Dawnbreaker's might. And before we continue on with this list, if you want to go ahead and give us a thumbs up, that would be awesome. It helps our channel out and the studio quite a bit. You guys are super supportive. Thank you so much. Click, 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 and then we'll continue. Okay, let's do it. Number 9, Speeding Bullets Batman. There's a name. This Elseworld storyline showed us what would happen if Kal-El's ship did not crash land in Smallville, but rather it landed in Gotham. So when the inevitable did happen and his parents were attacked and killed that night, Bruce Wayne, real named Kal-El, used his alien powers and unwillingly killed the robbers. His powers just came out in the form of heat vision. Toast. They didn't make it at all. No chance. And after this point, Bruce Wayne wasn't the same. He was ruthless. He had the powers of a god and so much anger, guilt, and pain inside. He had no idea what to do with this. So he would just repeat over and over, the bullets, the bullets, the bullets. Like he was in bad shape mentally. He hid from the world in his mansion of solitude, and he couldn't even look at photos of anything related to death as it was super triggering. And then one night, a group of robbers tried to invade said house, but again, heat vision wins this round. Didn't make it. A little older and a little wiser, Kal-El decided that now is time to use his powers to get the job done. Help out, you know, be a role model. He took up the identity of the Batman, but still, just because he rocked the cape doesn't mean he was doing all the right things. For example, when Lois Lane was kicked out of Lex Luthor's limo later on, she was about to be attacked by thugs, but Batman came in and burned their flesh while splintering their bones. Or you could fly them to jail. Or vaporize their eyes. That works too. You can vaporize their eyes. That's sure, that gets the job done. Number 8, Darkclaw. Veering out of the Dark Multiverse for a hot minute, we have to talk about Darkclaw. Coming from the Amalgam universe, where DC and Marvel combined powers, literally, we get a Wolverine-Batman mix. He first appeared in Legends of the Darkclaw issue 1 back in 1996, and his origin story is a hot mess. At just age 5, Logan Wayne witnessed the death of his parents. The usual stuff, but then he was sent to live with his uncle in Alberta, Canada. Better bring a jacket. It's cold. His uncle too bit the bullet after poachers ambushed him. So Logan Wayne enlisted in the Royal Canadian Air Force when he was of age, and shortly after was submitted into the Weapon X program. So much amalgam fun. There Logan got the adamantium treatment, but the Weapon X program was terminated because it was deemed a failure. Why, you ask? Logan Wayne still retained his conscience. So where to go next but to travel the world? Logan studied abroad. He studied a variety of crime-fighting skills in his time. He studied criminology, forensics, martial arts, gymnastics, you name it. This guy learned all 127 major styles of combat. And yes, Thumb Wars is included. You never know, you never know. That mixed with Wolverine's abilities, I mean, you're screwed. Good game. Number 7, 1800s Batman. Batman Gotham by Gaslight, a tale of the Batman, written by Brian Augustin and brought to life by Mike Mignola. Here comes a tale from the Victorian era where Batman is hunting down Jack the Ripper. So it's 1889, and while these attacks are happening over and over, the general public is starting to whisper through the winds and talk amongst themselves in the shadows that maybe, just maybe, it's Batman who is committing these crimes because, well, he's dressed like that. Pretty fair assumption. We love some Victorian drama. Let's get spooky. So we get historic killers here, we get old-timey gangs, Bruce gets framed. It's an entirely new version of Batman, but it's an older take on the Caped Crusader. To see Batman purely rely on his detective skills more than anything makes for a really enjoyable story. I mean, there's no crazy gadgets or cool Batmobile that flicks him up a building. He's just like, I got it, I'm a detective, let's do this. Steampunk Batman for the win. It got the feature film treatment in 2018 with Sam Liu directing, so if you're looking for an old-timey superhero animated flick with Jack the Ripper, there you go. Just made your day. What do you know? Number 6, Thomas Wayne. Coming from the Flashpoint storyline released back in 2011, written by Jeff Johns and Andy Kubert, Thomas Wayne, Bruce's father, was actually the one to become Batman in this timeline. Now in this universe, Bruce Wayne was the one who got shot that fateful night and he bit the bullet. The world of Flashpoint is this altered reality where Barry accidentally ends up in, where Batman is older and much more violent. And not so much as a detective like Bruce. See, what happened was, in this alternate reality, Bruce's mother, Martha, is so traumatized that she becomes the Joker. That's why during the opening credits of Batman vs Superman, we were all pumped in the theater because Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Lauren Cohen, two amazing actors, were in such a small opening scene as Bruce's parents, with zero dialogue. Now with recent set photos of Michael Keaton in the new Flash movie, we're still in for a great time, but we were so close to the best Flash movie with Jeffrey Dean Morgan as a dark Thomas Wayne. Jeffrey Dean Morgan did say on Twitter that ever since Zack Snyder walked away, his whole bit in that world has walked away with him. But we still got Michael Keaton, so it's still fine. It's good. It's good. Number 5, Red Death. Coming from the Dark Multiverse, Earth 52, first appearing in Dark Days the Casting Issue 1, Red Death Batman used to be a hero who fought alongside Robin in his world. The events that transpired in Batman's life were taking a harder toll on him. He was watching all of these sidekicks just bite the bullet, so he was desperate to find this new power, a new way to get ahead of these horrible crimes. So he looked at his world's Flash. Batman honestly believed that he could use the Speed Force better than the Flash, so he took out all the Flash's villains, stole all their tech, and then he himself fought the Flash, and he was winning. He drove the two of them into the Speed Force because he had merged his Batmobile with the Cosmic Treadmill. That's always fun. And then that's when he absorbed all of Barry's powers. He did it. After Batman came back from the Speed Force, he referred to himself as Batman, the Red Death, where he would easily and brutally kill Gotham's rogues. All the while, Barry's consciousness is begging him to stop inside of him. It's kind of like a nightmare, this version. Definitely a nightmare. Number 4, Azrael. Right after the 1993 Nightfall story, when Batman got his back broken by Bane, just absolutely wrecked, he decided to pass the Batman mantle right on to not Dick Grayson. No, instead he chose Jean-Paul Valley, aka Azrael. His run on Batman wasn't the same as Bruce's. I mean, for starters, Azrael's methods were pretty violent and quite irresponsible. In all fairness, he was capable of defeating Bane with this new tricked out batsuit, but this guy thought that he was actually an all-round better Batman and a permanent successor rather than a replacement. Got news for you, pal. So once Bruce did recover, he had to force Azrael to leave the position. Even the style changes were quite drastic. Azrael made more than a few changes to the suit. Now it's black and yellow, this metallic armor, and then he added some other gadgets like claws, dual mag weapons, and of course, a cape. Just to, because he's a hero, he needs a cape. Number 3, Terry McGinnis. The year is 2039, and by this point Bruce Wayne has retired from the crime-fighting life. But meanwhile, Project Cadmus director Amanda Waller was out in search of a replacement, beginning with Project Batman Beyond. A major key element was using Batman's blood samples left over from his altercations, the OG Batman. That, mixed with some nanotech solutions, we now can make the DNA of Bruce Wayne. The future, how lovely. So Amanda found the Warren McGinnis household with Warren and Mary, and the couple was psychologically identical to Thomas and Martha Wayne. Perfect. So when they thought they were going in for a flu shot, they didn't know they were actually about to be the new parents of a new Batman. Amanda almost had both of them taken out to, encourage the lonely road of the Caped Crusader growing up, but thankfully she scrapped that idea. Because we don't need the same origin story, Amanda. Like, give the kid a minute to figure it out. Like, they don't have to. We don't need to. Turns out you can't avoid fate still, because down the road in Terry's teenage years, his father ended up getting killed, and Terry believed that it was actually the corrupt CEO Derek Powers behind all of it. So he got the help of Bruce Wayne, who was part of the merger with Derek Powers naturally. Then after facing off against the Joker's gang, Terry realized that Bruce was in fact this original Batman. So Terry stole his batsuit and was determined to find justice himself. The Beyond suit is just awesome. Rocket boots, claws, cloaking device. The red and black, I mean, you can't get any better than that. Number 2, Batman. Coming from Earth 43, Batman is, well, he's just that. He's Batman who doubles down as a vampire. Nice. We see him for the first time in Batman and Dracula Red Reign. His origins are the same for the most part, how he became Batman because of his parents, all that jazz. That's the same. But then when he's patrolling one night, he starts to find victims all with the same injury. Their throats have been just slashed apart. Who could have done this? Why, Dracula himself, that's who. He gets help from a rogue vampire named Tanya, who was once part of Dracula's posse. And Batman is so wild, this guy willingly gets bitten by a vampire to become one, so then he can take on Dracula. Whatever it takes to get the job done, I respect that a lot. And finally, number 1. Batman, the God of all knowledge. The Mobius chair made its first appearance in New Gods issue 1, and the chair itself was created by Mobius, aka the Anti-Monitor. He gave the chair to Metron, but when Metron took his eye off the prize for a minute, Batman ended up becoming the God of all knowledge for a short time. What happened was Wonder Woman grabbed Metron with her lasso, yanked him right off, and then before boom tubes were summoned or anything like that, Batman just took that chance that he had and jumped on the chair. Musical chair style. Then the Dark Knight becomes the bright light. The whole team at this time is fighting Darkseid, and Batman's just floating in the background, just trying to figure out the universe. He's just searching for solutions via the cosmic realm. It's pretty spectacular. Things took a jump to overdrive when he also received a power ring. I thought he was a good detective before, but now, I mean, that's just OP.
Number 10. The Batman from Red Sun. While we will be focusing on Batman here from Earth 30, the reality of Superman Red Sun, it should be noted that there are more, and that really the symbol of Batman is what is so powerful here. However, it all started with one man who we aren't even given the true name of. We simply know him as Batman. It was his mission to take down the man responsible for his parents' murder, Pyotr Roslov. In his attempt to get to Roslov, however, he ended up being pitted against the Soviet hero Superman, aka the Red Sun. Batman almost succeeded in defeating Superman here, but Wonder Woman unexpectedly became free of her bonds, turning the tides of the fight in Superman's favor. In the end, Batman decided to take his own life rather than be captured, blowing himself up but confessing to Superman beforehand the truth about the corrupt Roslov, and in so doing achieved his mission. While the original Batman died, others would later take his place in the fight for justice, inspired by the stories of his heroism. Number 9. Owlman. Owlman isn't a direct alternate version of Bruce Wayne, as he's the older brother of Bruce on Earth 3, Thomas Wayne Jr., the elder son of Martha and Thomas Wayne. However, he is the equal counterpart to main continuity Bruce, considering his place on the crime syndicate as their Batman, and so for that, we're going to include him here. When Thomas was younger, he orchestrated the death of his own parents as he believed they were squandering and mismanaging his inheritance, the family wealth. He even tried to get his younger brother Bruce, whom he loved dearly, to join him, but Bruce actually ended up getting cold feet, and Thomas as such was forced to kill him. As Owlman, Thomas is much more dangerous, as he does not have the same moral code as main continuity Batman, but is at the same level when it comes to his intellect, training, and skills. And his plans. He's pretty good at plans too. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, if you are loving this list and you want more powerful alternate versions of Batman, be sure to let us know by giving this video a thumbs up. 2 bat thumbs up. Do bats have thumbs? I don't think so. They have like little fingers on their wings. I think that's what they have. Little claws. Number 8. Richard Grayson. Dick Grayson is another alternate version of Batman who took up the cape and cowl following Batman's supposed death. Being that he's been trained and pretty much prepared to take up the mantle his whole life, being Batman's first Robin, Nightwing makes for a pretty powerful alternate Batman. Controversial opinion perhaps, but despite his following in Batman's footsteps in terms of his moral code, I would say he is still a more powerful alternate than Owlman. I know some people might say like not having morals makes you more powerful, but I digress. At one point actually, he and Owlman teamed up and almost enacted a plot to take down the crime syndicate together. Dick comes with years of training and is known for his genius intellect, forensic skills, is a master martial artist, and would go on to become a very capable spy and develop espionage skills later on when he infiltrates Spiral. During his time as Batman, following the events and apparent death of Batman in Final Crisis, Grayson would fight alongside Damian Wayne, who acted as his sidekick Robin. Number 7. Father Bruce. You might refer to him as Bat Priest based on this art, but his real name is Father Bruce, and he is the head priest of the House of Milk and Honey, a new version of the Gather House. Father Bruce makes an appearance in Milk Wars, the Young Animals imprint crossover with the DC main world and characters. He is prominently featured in part 2 of the crossover in the Mother Panic and Batman special. The thing is, Father Bruce isn't really an alternate, but he's so cool, and this story is just so bizarre and great that I thought we needed to mention him here. I actually checked this out and then I was like, man, I gotta read Mother Panic, because I believe the writer of Mother Panic is the one that writes this comic. I'm sorry, I don't remember their name off the top of my head, but you should check it out. Father Bruce is a version of Batman who has been twisted into a priest. Here, Father Bruce is in charge of a small army of Robins known as the Holy Sidekick Choir of Merciful Justice, who he teaches using his book of Bat Manners and divine wisdom. They drink the milk created by Mother Partake, who does so in an eerie manner. She kind of creates it with her fingers, it's really weird, and have their histories rewritten by a golden machine. Bruce himself is trapped here until Mother Panic, aka Violet Page, manages to free him and he returns to his old self. But even in this alternate persona, he's pretty mighty. Also in this delusional, brainwash created reality, Bruce believes it is a priest crashing through his window, not a bat, that inspired him to take up the mantle of Father Bruce and become a priest. I just love that. I just love that he's like crashes through the window and he's like, who are you? And then he's like, I will become a priest, as he like drinks the milk. Oh, it's such a weird story, I like it. Number 6, Man Bat Batman. Now I know Taylor on his part 1 had Batman, aka Earth 43 turned vampire bats, but I figured why not bring you another vampiric version of the hero, because I also just really love vampires and they're powerful. This alternate version of Batman is not actually a Bruce Wayne alternate, but instead is an alternate version of Kirk Langstrom, who we know in the main continuity as Man Bat. Kirk Langstrom here was working on a cure for cancer, specifically lymphoma, which he himself suffered from. He did end up creating a serum that cured him, yay, but regrettably, due to its ties to bats, it also turned him into a pseudo-vampire. As a vampire created by science, Langstrom became a part of the new superhero Holy Trinity in The Gods and Monsters. He possessed superhuman strength, durability, agility, and could fly, and also held onto his genius intellect. The one downside of his vampirism was that he did require blood in order to live. Comparable but somewhat different to Marvel's Morbius, who is also known as a pseudo-vampire. Number 5, Injustice Batman. Batman in Injustice not only has the moral high ground against Superman, who becomes a villain in this reality after the death of Lois Lane and their unborn child at his own hands due to the machinations of Joker and Harley Quinn, but Batman here also possesses the super pill, or more specifically the 5U93R pill, which kinda spells super if you look at it. This pill, when ingested, allows Batman or his ally, father figure, and loyal butler Alfred to go toe-to-toe with Superman, meeting him on his level when it comes to strength and durability. Number 4, the Merciless. The Merciless is like the Wonder Woman version of the Dark Knights, as each of the core members is kinda meant to be a stand-in for a member of the Justice League. He initially teamed up with Diana Prince, aka Wonder Woman, to take down Ares on his world of Negative Earth 12 in the Dark Multiverse, but after doing so was forced to take Ares' helmet before Wonder Woman could and use it to defeat her. He basically knew that Diana would not allow him to use it otherwise, and so he was like, nah, I kinda gotta take it, otherwise it won't get used. He took up her symbol in her honor and wields the power of Ares, but multiplied. He is amazingly strong and durable, can summon any weapon, influence others to anger or fighting, and is pretty much god level, so yeah. Number 3, Super Batman. Super Batman was the name given to the Batman of Earth 1 when he traveled to Zur-En-Arrh. In the main continuity, Zur-En-Arrh was the name of Batman's alternate persona created when he witnessed the traumatic event of his parents being murdered that resides deep within his psyche. However, initially Zur-En-Arrh was the name given to a faraway planet in the golden age of Batman comics. It first appeared in issue 113 of Batman in the story Batman, the Superman of Planet X. Here, Batman of Earth 1 is teleported a great distance to Zur-En-Arrh to aid Batman, the scientist Tulano, who watched Batman from afar through a telescope and was inspired to become the Batman of his own world, so he's also Batman. However, the intergalactic threat that Tulano Batman faces here is too great, and he needs Earth 1 Batman's help. On this planet, Earth 1 Batman's unique Earth-based human physiology makes him super strong, durable, and able to fly. Basically, he becomes Superman in terms of what he's capable of, which also at this time period I feel like would be pretty off the charts. Batman uses his powers to help Tulano and then is returned home afterwards and given one of Tulano's devices to keep as a memento. It doesn't work though, so it's basically just a little bit of junk that he can keep in his trophy case. Yay! Number 2. Dark Father. Dark Father was ultimately beaten by the superhero Holy Trinity, but only while they all kind of had a power upgrade all their own. He hails from the Dark Multiverse and is an alternate version of Bruce Wayne, who defeated Darkseid and took all his power and knowledge for himself afterward. Batman as Dark Father as such is a new god and also wields the anti-life equation, which he uses to influence others and to imprison them, forcing them to obey him and his will. He also has all the brilliance of main continuity Bruce and more. Number 1. Batman Who Laughs. Also known as the Darkest Knight, the Batman Who Laughs is an alternate version that is a combination of Batman and Joker. He comes from the dark multiverse reality of Negative Earth 22, where he as Batman ended up killing the Joker by snapping his neck after being pushed to the brink by the villain, who was dying anyways, admittedly. When he did so, however, he became infected by Joker venom that was released by this very final action. After becoming infected, Bruce went insane and had most of his Bat family killed, except for his biological son, Damian Wayne, who joined his side. Batman Who Laughs would go on to become super powerful after acquiring the powers of Dr. Manhattan when he had his brain transplanted into the body of the Dr. Manhattan Batman alternate. The Darkest Knight, even before this power upgrade, was already pretty powerful because 1. He was super popular, which always gives characters power, and 2. He was a mentally ill genius, which made him extremely deadly and dangerous to take on and kinda unpredictable. He also often fought against the superheroes he came up against with dark metal, in some cases managing to infect them and in so doing recruit them to his own dark army. Plus he's got all those dark knights, so that's just another thing.
Kicking off the list at number 10. Bat Baby. We get a grown Robin and a baby Batman. What a treat. Making his first little baby steps in Batman issue 147. In fact, this is the 600th time Batman appeared in comics. So it was a pretty big deal at the time, and to this day, it's known as one of the most ridiculous comic books of all time. And I have to agree. It says Story of the Year on the cover, and that is not a lie. So what in the baby genius is happening here? Well, Nails Finney and his gang, including Garth, the renegade scientist, made a shrink ray, and it works like a charm, evidently. The thing is, it only shrank him. He wasn't sitting around all day filling his diaper and licking door handles. No, he had the same strength as regular size B-Man plus the brains. So he packed quite a punch in a little body, and he was okay with it too. He kind of leaned into the lifestyle a bit. He said if Gangland is calling him a baby, then he might as well dress like a baby too. Black jorts, little cape, he got the job done, whatever it took. Number 9. Bizarro Batman. Created by Bizarro number 1 as a Batman duplicate, the world's worst detective made his first comic book appearance in World's Finest issue 156. I was going to use Bizarro Batman as number 10, but like Bat Baby, I had to. He's a baby, come on. I love Bizarro Batman. He speaks and thinks the exact opposite of Batman's true intentions. Like other Bizarros, their main weakness is blue kryptonite, an artificial isotope. Perhaps one of the best/worst features of this version of Batman has to be the useless utility belt. He did not have gadgets that save the day stored in there. No, he had cigarette butts, chewing gum, that yes, had already been chewed, just a sticky mess in one of those. He had bottle caps, rusty nails, ashes, cigar ashes, and banana peels. Okay, like the nails and the banana peel, sure, I can maybe see like a Home Alone type trap coming from this guy. I wouldn't say the belt is totally useless, just really smelly. And before we continue on with this list, if you want to go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, that would be so great. We'd actually love that here, wouldn't we, Chris? We totally would. You guys are the best. Thank you so much. Now let's get right back to this alternate Batman list. Number 8. Prohibition Batman. Elliot Ness made his first appearance in Batman's Scar of the Bat, and he was a federal agent. His primary target is the one and only Al Capone. So this takes place during, of course, the Prohibition era in Chicago, and Elliot was part of a team referred to as the Untouchables, where he would stand alongside Danny Rasher, Frank Basile, and George Kochen. Now the best part of this comic isn't the fact that Batman is carrying a Tommy gun on the cover, that's close, but Elliot Ness was a real person in real history. The Untouchables were real. Back in 1903, Elliot Ness led this team. He didn't have a cape, but he did have a beautiful comb over. Imagine if he knew that he became Batman in an alternate reality. I wonder if he read the early issues. Wild. Food for thought. Number 7. Sir William. This one comes straight from Earth 9. So back in 1997, DC Comics launched Tangent Comics, which was a new take on our hero's backstory. Always a good time. So as you guessed from the name, Sir William, yes, this Batman was straight out of the Arthurian times. Sir William was a knight of King Arthur's Round Table, but things got a little messy once Morgan Le Fay seduced him and convinced him to fight King Arthur using her magic. So he was confined to his own castle. Ugh, quite the punishment. Must be rough. Hey, here's your own castle, Sir William. Hope you like stargazing. And that's it. And candles. That's the weird thing about castles. They're kind of boring. They're beautiful, but definitely boring. Sir William did have a solution, however. He discovered that he had the ability to project his spirit into his armor and then have that walk free. What an ultimate gift. Could you imagine that as an excuse? Hey guys, sorry I'm late. My spirit got stuck in traffic. What'd I miss? Number 6, Batman the Wild. This version's wild. Making his first appearance in Batman Dark Joker the Wild back in 1994, this version is... I mean, look at him. He's a literal monster, and as far as the miniseries go, it's pretty trippy. See, Batman was the child of 2 sorcerers this time around, Magister and Lilandra, and when he was created purely to take down their greatest foe, the Dark Joker. Very Harry Potter vibes going on here. In usual Batman fashion, his parents got wiped out at a young age, but instead of beatboxing in an empty mansion, he grew up in solitude as a monster living in the wilderness. Batman discovered that he has an older sister, Sarisa, so she shows him the ropes, she cultured him, and that's about all she had the chance to do, as the Dark Joker took her out as well. Tragedy in any universe for this guy. The wild monster Batman ended up hucking Dark Joker out of a window, of course screaming to his deceased family all the while. And he scratched his mouth. That's actually how he got those scars, from Batman's dirty nails. Number 5, Batmouse. Coming from the JLA, of course meaning just a lot of animals, we meet the Caped Crusader from Earth C-, and it's perhaps one of the cutest versions of Batman, so I had to include him. With Batbaby aside, he's also pretty cute. You can find Batmouse go against the also adorable Joker Pig in Captain Carrot and his amazing zoo crew, issue 14. What a great name, Captain Carrot, that's lovely. The whole thing obviously is fun and games, especially with the first page. We see Wonder Wabbit, Green Lampkin, and next to Batmouse is this trusty sidekick, Boyd the Robin Wonder. How cute! Now the best part is that this is one of the few alternate universes to survive Crisis on Infinite Earths. So he's still out there, a silent guardian, a watchful protector, a dark knight, who's also a mouse. Number 4, Thrill Killer. Back in 1997, we got a pretty neat what-if scenario in DC Comics. Thrill Killer issue 1, we find Bruce Wayne on Earth 37, and his parents were actually killed by their servants at this time around. So there's no fortune to fall back on afterwards. The whole operation just collapsed in on itself. So Bruce now focused on law enforcement, eventually becoming a detective for Gotham City Police Department. He was one of the few good ones. He got this case handed to him where he had to track down and capture Batgirl and Robin. This case was his last though, due to the fact that he ended up being framed for the death of Selina Kyle. Bianca Steeplechase framed him. Also amazing last name. So he became a fugitive after this. Bruce did eventually join Batgirl as Batman, and then they attacked the mob, all that good stuff. But after Steeplechase was taken down, Bruce was appointed commissioner, retiring the Batman side of his life. Number 3, Emo Batman. Coming from the Elseworlds 80-page giant issue 1 back in 1999, Bruce Wayne was a moody teen, full of angst and of course, a love and lust for pop music. Like all of us. He was one of the members of the group the Pennyworths, who was discovered by Lex Luthor himself, and then they signed with Lex Records. How sick. Lex ended up dropping the group because Bruce was getting a little lost in the sauce. Some narcotic use was keeping him in a dark place. You gotta keep it clean, Bruce. How else are you going to play at Coachella? Think. I already bought my tickets, man. Rain or shine. Number 2, Black Masterpiece Batman. Black Masterpiece is an Elseworlds story as well, and it's perhaps one of my favorite versions. Elseworlds Annual Issue 18, Black Masterpiece shows us a fun alternate past where the young apprentice of Leonardo da Vinci became the first ever Batman. The woman posing for the Mona Lisa, she ends up getting kidnapped. Mid-pose, she's like, what? She ends up getting kidnapped, and it's a fun story because it's current day, and then all of a sudden it's old-timey Batman, nice little back and forth. So Bruce Wayne tracking down stolen artwork sounds like a boring time, but the 1994 classic is all but Number 1. Leatherwing. The captain of the Flying Fox, a 17th century privateer making his first swashbuckle in Detective Comics Annual issue 7. Leatherwing is a pirate version of Batman, not a pirated version, a literal pirate version of him. How great does that sound right off the bat? This dude resides in the barnacle-filled Earth 494, and Captain Leatherwing sailed the seas with his first mate Alfredo, and soon met Robin Redblade, Prince of the Urchins and Bloody Terror of the Kingston Docks. Look, Batman's British, Alfredo is an Italian dude who constantly disagrees with him, and yes, to answer your burning question, Leatherwing fights with a sword. Even though his parents were both killed by a sword. Odd little parallel there. The Flying Fox, the ship, is actually a nod to Zorro, who in regular continuity was an influence on Bruce Wayne. Zorro is Spanish for fox, so the Flying Fox, you got it. Kicking off the list at number 10, the Devastator. There's a name right there, okay. Bruce Wayne of Earth 1 made his first appearance in Dark Days, the casting. This Batman is one of Barbados' Dark Knights. Now, he started out the usual Batman way, lost his parents, became Batman, hung out with the Justice League. He actually got along with Superman quite well. He genuinely believed in his ideals of hope. But it is Batman we're talking about. Just because he trusted him doesn't mean he wasn't always prepared. Bruce kept the Doomsday virus just in case. So when Superman did go on and become a little crazy and started killing people, Batman figured, okay, now is the time to use this thing. Bruce first used a kryptonite spear to try and do the trick, but Superman just monologued in his face. Nothing was working. So now it's Doomsday time. The Devastator was born. The virus changed Batman instantly, physically of course, but also mentally. Now he had no problem killing what used to be one of his best friends. Using kryptonite breath, Bruce weakened the god and then finished him with some Doomsday spikes. Nice dark note to start the list off. There we go. Number 9. Multiverse Batbaby. In part 1 of this list, we of course had to mention the time Batman was shrunk down to the size of a baby, so naturally in part 2, we need more baby goodness. Dark Knights Death Metal Legends of the Dark Knights issue 1. Bruce has a plan. Now this version was planning on living a second lifetime. More crimes to solve, more risks to break, more bills to pay. The man is committed. Now he had already taken down the Joker, Riddler, Two-Face, and Scarecrow at this time, but he wanted more. After his passing, his mind was safely stored in the cyberspace, and it was then transferred into this new body waiting in the Batcave. This time seems way harder for Bruce. See, in the early issues, he just made little trousers and still continued to fight crime. It was fun, it was almost cute. Here, he was rolling downstairs. He couldn't even walk. He probably his pants, and then he just lays down and cries for the rest of the day. The best part is that he has the mind of Bruce still, so those tears just aren't baby tears. That's pure agony. Now he finally figured out, how to use his legs in life. He gets the jetpack to make up for those tiny legs, and he still goes on saving the day as the guardian of Gotham. And before we continue on with this weird list, if you want to go ahead and give us a thumbs up, that would be awesome. It helps us out so much. Thank you so much for watching. Let's get back to the video. Also, thank you for 1.1 million subscribers. That's huge. That was a nice thing to wake up to. Number 8. Red Sun Batman. Superman Red Sun was released in 2003. It earned Mark Millar an Eisner Award nomination in 2004, but he always wondered what life would be like if Superman was raised in the Soviet Union. What a fun idea. So in this story, the ship lands on a Ukrainian collective farm instead of Texas, and as for Bruce Wayne in this reality, well, his parents still end up biting the bullet, but this time it's by Stalin's police force. So his main goal was to get back at that captain of said police force, Roslov. This version of Batman, just look at the attire. How do you not love him off the bat? He kidnapped Wonder Woman, tied her up with her own lasso, rude, and then used her to draw Red Sun Superman out. And of course, it worked like a charm. Using simulated red sunlight, he weakened Superman, locked him in a basement, ideally forever, but Wonder Woman broke free, took care of those red sun lamps, and right before Batman was about to get the beatdown of his life, he detonated a bomb in his own chest. Honestly, I think Red Sun Superman would still be a lot more painful than a chest bomb. Still dark either way. Number 7. Magic Batman. Superman Batman Sorcerer Kings is a 4-parter written by Cullen Bunn, beginning with Superman Batman issue 81. On the cover we see Batman's tool belt, but this time it's made of elixirs and potions. What's the deal here? So after witches and warlocks tried to sacrifice our sun, things went south, and now every electronic was literally vaporized. That means no more TikTok, sorry. The future was looking quite grim. To see Batman punch warlocks and witches in the mouth, at one point he says, "No more hocus pocus." In part 2, Bruce pulls out a whistle, obviously he gets mocked, and then when the Batwing arrives, it's more than useful. The Batwing being a magical dragon, of course. Number 6. Emo Batman. Back in 1999, we got to see one of the moodiest versions of Bruce Wayne. Coming from Elseworld's 80-page giant, he was one of the members of the group the Pennyworths, who was discovered and signed by Lex Luthor. This sounds funny considering the Batman we know and love, but it's still really sad. For example, Lex didn't care about the well-being of who he signed as long as they were making that moolah. And on top of that, Bruce was struggling with substance abuse problems, and his last album bombed. It didn't even go gold. How sad is that? So soon after, Lex sold his record label to Darkseid Incorporated. Imagine watching Battle of the Bands and emo Bruce Wayne starts setting up shop. What a dream show. Number 5. Prohibition Batman. This alternate version of Batman first appeared in Batman Scar of the Bat, but this time it was Elliot Ness. Elliot was a federal agent, and instead of going toe-to-toe with the Joker, Elliot is now trying to bring down Al Capone. Now, of course, this takes place during the Prohibition era in Chicago, and Elliot was part of a team referred to as the Untouchables. I love this alternate version because it's real history that's being played with. Elliot Ness was a real guy who led the Untouchables in 1903. The story is a fun one-off, but Elliot does reappear later on in Teen Titans Volume 3, Issue 31. It's a brief appearance, but he's still out there. I wonder if real-life Elliot Ness ever read DC Comics back in those early days. Him and his Tommy gun reading Batman in a speakeasy? I can see it. Number 4. Batman the Silenced. The original Hush storyline by Jeff Loeb and Jim Lee introduces Bruce's childhood friend, Thomas Elliot. Out of jealousy, he tries to take down Batman using the alias Hush, but in Tales from the Dark Multiverse Batman Hush, we see a different life play out this time. When Thomas and Martha Wayne were shot that fateful night, Bruce was of course devastated, but Alfred didn't end up taking him in like normal continuity. Instead, he was taken in by those Elliots. Bruce didn't work through his trauma by fighting crime and saving lives. Instead, he grew more and more unstable from his childhood, so much so that the Elliots transferred him to a mental asylum, while Thomas Elliot grew up to take control over Wayne Industries. Horrible, what a horrible alternate reality. So once Tommy became a senator, he was able to transfer Bruce to Arkham Asylum, where Jonathan Crane would perform these operations. While in there, Alfred sent in Jack Napier as a mole to help Bruce, and Alfred also told Bruce about his parents and what really happened. So Jack was in there to help Bruce get in touch with people who can help him get payback. So he received training in every field from lunatics in Arkham Asylum. He came out talented but tainted after faking his own death. Once free, he went by the name of Batman the Silenced. Number 3. Saint Batman. We'll ride the Dark Multiverse train out a little more, taking a look now at Jean Paul Valley. The original story took place when Batman got his back by Bane in 1993. Azrael took over for the Bat while Bruce healed up, and then things went back to normal over time. In Tales from the Dark Multiverse Batman Nightfall, we see a world where Jean Paul Valley refused to give the cape back. They went at it at the Batcave, and instead of Bruce reclaiming the costume, he got a devastating hit to the spine. And to make matters even worse, Saint Batman kept Bruce alive, just, without any body parts, of course. His physical strength is unmatched. This Batman juices. He uses venom in his suit, so he operates at a superhuman level. The ultimate backbreaker this time. Number 2. Speeding Bullets Batman. This Elseworld storyline shows us a future where Kal-El landed in Gotham and was subsequently adopted by the other Martha Wayne. The Waynes did end up meeting their fate, regardless of the fact that their newly adopted son has laser vision. He didn't realize at the time that he could fire heat rays until right after they had died. I mean, that's fair, trauma does things to the body. After this point, Super Bruce wasn't the same at all. He had the powers of a god, but the hatred of the devil. He was a conflicted man. He would repeat the line, the bullets, the bullets, the bullets, over and over again. He was mentally unstable, obviously. So he hid from the world in his mansion of solitude, and over time, Bruce decided that he should use his powers and just be a hero, instead of hiding. Taking up the identity of the Batman, he would patrol the streets looking for crime, but like I said, he was still a troubled guy. His version of saving the day was burning the flesh off of criminals. Number 1. Thomas Wayne. Coming from the Flashpoint storyline released in 2011, writer Jeff Johns and Andy Kubert brought us Thomas Wayne, Bruce's father, when he was actually the one to become Batman. See, in this universe, Bruce Wayne was actually the one who got shot that night in the alley. The world of Flashpoint is this altered reality that Barry accidentally ends up in, where Thomas is older, more brutal, and he's like this evil, dark Batman. And Bruce's mother, Martha, becomes so traumatized by what happens to her son that in this reality she becomes the Joker. So this Batman is very okay with using guns. In fact, he actually prefers it. Guys, kicking off the list at number 10, we have the Murder Machine. Great name. In part 2 of this list, we mentioned the Devastator, so this time we figured we had to include Murder Machine as well. Bruce Wayne, coming from the Dark Multiverse, Earth 44, had the same origin with the parents getting popped and all that stuff. He became Batman, he joined the Justice League, but then when Alfred was suddenly killed in the Batcave by some goons, Bruce feels responsible. He watches the footage over and over and over again. It's haunting him. So at Alfred's funeral, Bruce asks Cyborg if he can help him create an AI Alfred. You know, to help around the house, set reminders, lock the doors, all that good stuff. Cyborg agrees and Alfred protocol is underway. Its job was to assist and protect Bruce no matter what. And he was built as a hologram, so he can use weapons and move stuff around. What could possibly go wrong? Day one, this thing was already spreading itself around, building new bodies, and then it started to take out every criminal in Arkham Asylum. Because they were deemed as threats, of course, so Batman had to adjust a few things, rightfully so. He wanted to allow AI Alfred to have access to the Batcave system, even though Cyborg was like, hey man, that's probably a terrible idea, but you're gonna do it anyways because you're Bruce Wayne. And he did. The AI first went after Bruce's mind because he didn't trust Bruce to keep himself safe. That's so meta. Then he took away Bruce's emotion, strapped him with some advanced tech, and once everybody was deemed a threat to Batman in some way, shape, or form, chaos erupted. A lot of death. Number 9. The Bruce. Coming from the Batman I Joker storyline from the late 90s, this Batman is known simply as the Bruce, which has a nice little ring to it. I say it like that, the Bruce. Once a year, the Bruce puts on a hunt. The citizens are now allowed to fight and challenge him for the throne. It's called the Night of Blood. Great name. But they also have to fight Batman's villains first, the surgically altered and reprogrammed versions, of course. The Bruce controls them all though, that's the messed up part. He just likes this gladiator, Halloween style night. He just likes violence. Luckily, and I can't believe I'm saying this, luckily a descendant of the Joker came in and put a stop to the Bruce. And before we continue on with this list, if you want to go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, somewhere in that area, that would be great. It really helps our channel out quite a bit. You guys are the best. Thank you for your constant support. Let's keep going. Number 8, Digital Justice Batman. James Gordon II is the grandson, of course, of the Jim Gordon, and after the death of his partner Lena Schwartz, he sees some old newspaper clippings about the Batman, and he feels inspired. He feels like going through his grandfather's stuff. He's learning more, he's grieving, and then that's when he discovers that Gordon left him the Batsuit as well. Bruce Wayne's old Batsuit. How lovely. You should probably wash it twice though, just to be safe, you know? So James took over as the Batman with NetWiz Bobby Chang joining as his sidekick Robin. The two of them were recruited by the Batcom, which was a program set up specifically for this by the original Batman in order to pass along equipment and tech and all that good stuff. This is a complex online future world that we're now looking at, of course ruled by the digital Joker virus. And I thought that paperclip guy was annoying. Imagine this dude. Jeez. Number 7, Clone Batman. When Darkseid created a clone of Batman, he used it to make the world believe that Batman had died, when in reality, Darkseid actually sent Bruce back in time with his Omega beams. That's a pretty impressive trick already, but things go up a notch when that clone is revived as a Black Lantern and seeks out our remaining alive heroes. His job was to attach other rings to other heroes who have been resurrected before, but after he was done, he went back to get some beauty death sleep. In Batman and Robin issue 8, that Batman is revived using the Lazarus Pit, where he instantly attacks Dick Grayson, Batwoman. I mean, he's just going nuts at this point. He was strong too, he was really strong. The next issue, the clone took off after King Cole triggered an explosion, and then he took off and headed for Wayne Manor, where he then fought Alfred and Damian Wayne. Just going for blood right off the bat. Pun intended. Damian was tossed off the roof by crazy Batsy, but thankfully Dick got him just in time. And in issue 9, the clone lost to Batwoman and Dick. Good ending-ish. Number 6, The Doom That Came to Gotham. Written by Mike Magnolia and Richard Pace, Batman The Doom That Came to Gotham is a 3-part Elseworld story where Batman's primary target is that of Lovecraftian monsters. Batman is in this 1920s era, he's rocking a Glock on the front cover. It's gritty, but the threat levels are cosmic. It's a fantastic blend. It's 1928, Bruce has returned home to Gotham a whole 2 decades later after his parents were killed. And he finds the city under attack from all these supernatural forces. It's wild. The way Batman handles these cosmic powerhouses, it's a ride. Even other players in the story are wild too, like Harvey Dent for example. His body started to deform after Poison Ivy touched him, and he was also chosen by Ra's al Ghul to be the living portal to Sotha's realm. Just goo into a wall of, yeah, it's just yuck. Number 5, Bat Joker. This version of Batman came to life in the New 52 Futures End storyline, also known as the Joker Borg. Remember the mayor of Halloween Town and Nightmare Before Christmas? This Bat Joker is kind of like that guy. He's got business in the front and then villain in the back. So Batman created a time-traveling device and sent Terry McGinnis, who I'll explain later on, into the past to prevent Brother Eye from being built by himself and Mr. Terrific. Batman was injured at this time, so Frankenstein took him, as well as the Joker, and then did some fun operation where the two became one cyborg. Batman's brain was literally picked apart here in order to find out where Terry McGinnis had been sent to, and then the Bat-Joker was sent back in time as well to stop Terry. Bat-Joker was heavily equipped though. He was loaded with super strength, so much so that this Bat-Joker was amongst the strongest of the cyborgs of the end future. Number 4, Terry McGinnis. Of course we have to mention him now in case you're wondering, wait, who's this guy again? The year is 2039. Bruce Wayne had retired, but Project Cadmus director Amanda Waller was looking for a replacement for Batman, beginning with Project Batman Beyond. A major key element here was using the original Batman's blood samples left over after his fights and mix it in with some nanotech. Now we have the DNA, we just need a family to raise the kid. Amanda found the McGinnis household with Warren and Mary a perfect fit, as they were both psychologically identical to Thomas and Martha Wayne. One flu shot later, they were about to be the new parents of a new Batman. But obviously in Batman fashion, during Terry's teenage years, his father got killed, and Terry believed it was all because of the corrupt CEO, Derek Powers. So he asked for the help of the other guy part of this merger, that guy being Bruce Wayne. He didn't know anything at this point. But after a confrontation against the Joker's gang, Terry realized, oh, Bruce is the OG Batman. So Terry stole all his stuff and suited up himself as the new Batman Beyond. What an origin story. So sick. We had to include him in this list. Not so much weird. I mean, besides the whole, flu shot, now I'm alive thing. Guess we can make that weird and include it. Number 3, Owlman. Coming from Earth 3, making his first appearance in Justice League Volume 2, Issue 23, Owlman is actually not Bruce Wayne, but rather Bruce's older brother, Thomas Wayne Jr. See, instead of their parents getting shot, Thomas Wayne Jr. actually believed that they were doing such a poor job of managing their money, so he got Alfred to do it for them. He got Alfred to kill his parents, and then when young Bruce Wayne was trying to stop this horrible plan from happening, Thomas Wayne Jr. took out his own brother. He saw this as a sign of weakness. What a psycho. So with the family's wealth now, he became Owlman. As a Cape Crusader, Thomas was he was the worst. I mean, the guy didn't mind using deadly force, for one, he actually preferred it. And what's a hero without a sidekick? This world's Dick Grayson tagged along and joined him, but that was after Owlman himself killed Dick's family. So a little bit of a twisted origin there too. And of course, there was also an evil super team, the Crime Syndicate. Number 2, Azrael. So right after the 1993 Nightfall storyline when Batman got wrecked by Bane, his back was broken, but he decided to pass on the Batman mantle to not Dick Grayson, but instead Jean-Paul Valley, aka Azrael, aka Azbat. I'm gonna say this is a weird version of Batman because he's a little crazy. This run as Batman wasn't the same at all. His methods were violent, messy, and irresponsible. He was capable of defeating Bane with his new suit and stuff, so he did do a good job. He was a formidable successor in that sense, but definitely not permanent. Once Bruce did recover, he had to force Azbat to leave the position. Even the style changes were quite drastic, and honestly, kind of ugly. Dare I say it was kind of ugly. He has the blue and yellow armor, the claws, the dual mag weapons. It's cool, but it's nothing like the Cape Crusader we know and love. He's kind of like a Decepticon. I'm like, I don't really like a Hot Wheels Decepticon looking guy. Number 1, the God of Knowledge. Weird, magical, wonderful, question mark? I'm not even sure what to call this one, but it's quite entertaining to say the least. The Mobius chair is the lazy boy of the galaxy. It made its first appearance in New Gods issue 1, and the chair was created by the Anti-Monitor. He gave the chair to Metron, but at one point Batman saw an opportunity of a lifetime. The chair was unused for a hot second, so Batman, king of musical chairs and problem solving, jumped on it and in turn became the god of all knowledge. How wonderful. At this point, the stakes are high. This couldn't have happened at a better time, honestly. The whole team was busy fighting Darkseid. Meanwhile, Batman's just floating in a chair in the background, figuring out the secrets of the universe, just trying not to throw up, trying to process all of this power. And that's when the Green Lantern adds a little bit of fun to this mix and tosses over his power ring. Just something to help Bruce get a grip. He puts it on Bruce's finger, power lights up the place, and he gets off the chair with a glowing lantern on his chest, right in the middle of the bat symbol. How crazy is that? Guys.
Number 10, Jim Gordon. Jim Gordon ended up being recruited as a new Batman after the fallout of Endgame in the comics. Jim wasn't really in a great place to be commissioner, as he had just recovered from the effects of Joker venom, which had left him unhinged and violent, initially trying to kill his friend Batman. But at the same time, he was also still someone that the government and the police saw as being extremely useful. He had years of service under his belt, he knew Gotham like the back of his hand, and with Batman and Joker both believed to be dead, Gotham and its people were looking for a new man to take up the Batman mantle. Enter Jim Gordon. The government gave him training, muscle implants, and a new tech-based armor mech suit that also happened to have at least semi-sentience. Jim named the suit Rookie and would both wear and work alongside it, in tandem with the police and government as a new, weirdly svelte Batman. That suit was tight. Of course, you could argue that Jim wasn't great as Batman, considering when Bruce returned, he kinda had some messes to clean up. But as a Batman who worked with the law and had a more intimate understanding of the justice system, it could also be argued that Gordon, in his own way, was better. Number 9. Azrael. Depending on your opinion of how best to deal with criminals, there are some who think Azrael did a bang-up job as Batman and even would like to see him return to the mantle. Azrael ended up acting as Batman after Bruce Wayne had his back broken by Bane. Batman ends up leaving Jean-Paul Valley in charge while he works on healing up and recovering. At first, Azrael seemed like a pretty good replacement, but he quickly gets wrapped up in his mission to bring criminals to justice. Azrael is considered to be more brutal and violent than Batman, going so far as to even kill criminals who oppose him and not backing down when Bruce finally returns to take the Batman mantle back. Bruce even has to call in backup from his Robins to take down Azrael in the end. While Jean-Paul was definitely a different kind of Batman, he was a kind of different that some prefer. And friends, before we move on to our next spot, if you are loving this list and you want more seemingly impossible lists like this one, be sure to let us know by giving this video a thumbs up. Number 8. Damian Wayne. And if you like supers who are not afraid to kill, do I have a Batman for you. Damian Wayne in the alternate future that is Earth 666 ends up becoming Batman after the current Batman, Dick Grayson, is killed by exploding Jokerfish. With Grayson dead, Damian believes that the only way to fight against crime is to go to extremes, believing that killing is the only way. Needless to say, this stance creates a lot more problems for Gotham, and especially for Commissioner Barbara Gordon, who becomes kind of a sworn enemy to Batman. In the end, Damian as Batman does bring about the destruction of Gotham and possibly the destruction of the world, but in a way, he was still super successful in what he set out to do. Damian created a bargain with the devil, trading his soul in exchange for becoming the eternal protector of Gotham, which is what happened. Of course, as with any wish or deal with the devil, there's always a twist. And in this case, the twist is that Gotham ends up being destroyed due to a nuclear strike. Still, Damian does protect Gotham till the very end of its existence. What more can you ask from Batman? Other than to, I guess not let Gotham be destroyed, which is a fair ask, I suppose. Number 7. Elliot Ness. Elliot Ness becomes the Batman in the Elseworld story Batman Scar of the Bat from 1996. The reason why I think Elliot Ness makes a better Batman than Bruce Wayne? Well, because he's based on a real-world character who actually fought to stop criminals in Chicago during the Prohibition era. He was a special agent who was known for taking down Al Capone, with the help of his fellow law enforcement team, who were known as the Untouchables. In Scar of the Bat, we see Elliot Ness as a 1920s version of Batman, supposedly the one who inspired the character from the comics. Ooh, at least in this version of the story. When Elliot Ness finds he can't do enough within the limits of the law, he becomes a vigilante, taking up the mantle Batman because he fights crime sometimes with a bat. In turn, this weapon is chosen by Ness as Batman to scare criminals like Al Capone, who himself was known for beating those who betrayed him to death with a baseball bat. That's a scene that happens at the beginning of this comic. In the end, Elliot wins the day and hangs up the Batman mantle, allowing one of his colleagues who is on his deathbed to claim to have been Batman so as not to besmirch Ness's name and ensure that the criminals get booked the proper way. Basically avoiding any hearsay, because if you're a vigilante and you try to take someone for justice, people won't be like, but you're a criminal, so it's all thrown out. One of those things. After recounting the truth to his biographer years later, Elliot Ness seemingly dies in his sleep due to a heart failure at his kitchen table, which I believe is the actual way that Elliot Ness died in history. So yeah, I like stories where characters get to be heroes from history, because I like history. Number 6. Jace Fox, aka Timothy Call Me Jace Fox, the son of Lucius Fox and Tanya Fox and brother to Tiffany, Tam, and Luke Fox. This might be a hot take, but I would argue that Jace was a better Batman because he chose to step up to the plate at a time when Bruce Wayne basically couldn't be Batman. So at that time period, he was better since Bruce wasn't even Batman, but was instead the dark detective, having to operate, well, more in the dark, due to being a super wanted criminal. However, Jace saw the importance of the symbol of Batman and decided to take up the mantle in Bruce's place, despite the danger. He might not have as much experience as Batman, but he definitely comes with his own skill set and training backing him up. Jace's Batman in Future State also has access to future tech that current and past Bruce doesn't. because future state. Number 5. Helena Wayne. While Helena Wayne might not even exist in the main continuity, at least not yet, although she's definitely been there before, that hasn't held her back from being one of the most extraordinary and capable Bat family members from the multiverse. On Earth 2, or one of the Earth 2s, because there's kind of 2 Earth 2s, Helena ends up taking up the mantle of her father, becoming the new Batman. She wears colors similar to Batwoman, red and black, but decides to keep the mantle as is, as opposed to changing it to match her own gender identity. Helena lives up to the name too, and while we don't get to see too much of her in terms of her capability, just knowing Helena Wayne from the comics and from both Earth 2s, I can imagine she would not only do her father proud, but also potentially end up surpassing him in terms of her capabilities, having learned herself from the best. This version of Helena also trained under Bruce as his Robin and was there with him when he died, doing her best to defend her father before the building that he was in exploded. Number 4. Dick Grayson. Dick Grayson was Batman's first Robin and would end up taking up the mantle of Batman after Bruce Wayne's supposed death at the hands of Darkseid. In reality, Batman wasn't dead, but had simply kind of been blasted through time. Dick did such a good job with the mantle that even when Batman was revealed to have survived the events of Final Crisis and he returned, he actually didn't make Dick hang up the cape and cowl. Instead, in the one-shot Batman the Return, Bruce asks Dick to stay on and operate as Batman in Gotham in his stead, while he heads out to manage Batman Incorporated, which was pretty cool. I feel like you know you did a good job as Batman when you get the stamp of approval from Bruce, which is definitely what Dick got as Batman and what Damian got working as Grayson's Robin. And you definitely are considered to be trusted when Bruce gives you Gotham to look after, which is definitely the city closest to his own heart. Number 3. Superman. When Superman ended up swapping powers or lack thereof with Batman in 2003's Superman/Batman, Superman proved to be the one who was better. Batman with Superman's powers ended up kinda losing his grip on reality. He believed that he could hear his parents' voices and became super violent in his fight for justice. The other heroes of Earth attempted to convince Batman to swap back his powers with Clark and let him help them, but he refused. In the end, it was up to Superman as Batman to stop him, which, even without powers, he did. He ended up luring him back to Earth and employing the help of fellow colleague, friend, and hero Zatanna. While Zatanna is the one behind luring Batman to Earth with illusions of his parents and is the one who reverses the swap, in the end even Bruce admits that Superman did a great job as him, suggesting that the swap was about more than powers, as Superman behaved and acted just as Bruce would have in his position, and did whatever it took, putting himself in danger to ensure the world was safe. Number 2. Batman 1,000,000. Batman 1,000,000 is of course from the future, way in the future. He hails from the alternate future known as DC 1,000,000, coming from year 85,300. That's right, 85,300. What a year. There he guards the galaxy's most dangerous criminals who are held within a prison on Pluto. This Batman's identity is unknown to us, but we do know a bit of his backstory. He was one of the thousands of victims who was forced as a kid to watch the death of his parents at the hands of villain Zaron, while others were driven to madness or took their own life. This hero instead was inspired to make sure an act like this never happened again, taking up the mantle of Batman. Batman 1,000,000 being from the future has a unique physiology which grants him superhuman abilities such as telepathy. He also has future tech and off the charts IQ of over 1,000, not actually possible if you know how IQs work, and was one of the heroes who helped to save the Earth from the traitor Starman and the plague that he had unleashed. Number 1. Terry McGinnis. What would this list be without Terry McGinnis? As Batman's direct protege in the future, Terry definitely deserves our number 1 spot, I think. He also was designed to be the next Batman, and so not only has the training and experience needed, learning from an older and wiser Bruce Wayne himself, but also genetically was made to become the best Batman possible. In fact, you could even argue because he grew up with his parents still alive that he might be a more whole Batman. Terry was the product of Project Batman Beyond, headed by Amanda Waller, who actually snuck Bruce Wayne's DNA into his conception with nanotech that would basically rewrite Terry's dad's genetic code to match Bruce's, making Terry, in a weird way, kinda Bruce's son / half-clone. Waller hired Phantasm, aka Andrea Beaumont, to then kill Terry's parents after they left the movie theater with their son, trying to also orchestrate the same origin story for Terry to help motivate him to become a hero. However, in the end, Andrea refused to go through with it, and so Terry got to live his life with his parents, alive. Although it should be noted, his parents did end up getting divorced, giving Terry a different kind of struggle in life. Also, although his father wouldn't end up being assassinated by Beaumont at that time, he would later on die tragically, so still has tragedy in his past. He's a hero. All heroes I feel like have tragedy in their past at some point.
Number 10. Vampire Batman. We'll start on a Twilight note here, okay? Bruce Wayne of Earth 43 appeared in the 1992 Batman and Dracula Red Rain story written by Doug Munch with pencils by Kelly Jones. So after a group of victims met their fate in the same way with their, throats slashed and not looking great, Batman realized that he's got vampires to now deal with. Vampires led, of course, by the one and only Dracula. So Batman really goes the extra mile to get the job done here because he meets a rogue vampire named Tanya and opts to get bit. He's like, right here please, thank you. He turns himself into a vampire in order to fight Dracula. Awesome, sold. Debit, thank you. Okay, so now Batman lures these rogue vampires into the Batcave, detonates an explosion, completely dusting Wayne Manor, so now all this sunlight hits the bloodsuckers, poof, they perish, and Batman used his new wings, his actual bat wings, and then flew to fight Dracula. Bat Bruce won the fight by impaling Dracula on a broken electrical pole. Bruce wasn't looking good also. He lost a lot of blood, so he actually died, but the Batman will live forever as now a vampire, so that's good. That's a positive ending, I think. Number 9, the Batman Who Laughs. Coming from the dark multiverse, first appearing in Dark Days the Casting, created by Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo, comes a twisted Earth 22 version of Batman, the Batman Who Laughs. Sounds like a good time, it's actually a nightmare. The Joker here is cruel. He goes on a spree throughout Gotham, just chaos, pure chaos. He took out Jim Gordon, and then he poisoned Batman. So once Batman was able to move his body again post-poison problem, he broke the Joker's neck. But even so, the Joker was prepared for this. After the snap, he let this toxin out that infected anybody near him. So Batman now got infected. Cut to 2 days later, Batman and Superman are talking about what just happened. Then when Superman tells Bruce that a kid infected by Joker venom bit a doctor, Bruce Wayne laughs. He lets out a little laugh. But he catches himself after, and even Superman is thrown off. He's like, okay, something's not right here. So a day later, Bruce called the team to the Batcave, and he went full Omni-Man. He took out the entire team before anybody really caught on to this new personality. Weird and evil. This list is dark already. Number 8, Time Stream Batman. Batman: The Return of Bruce Wayne is a 6-parter written by Grant Morrison, released in 2010, and we pick up from Final Crisis issue 6 when Darkseid shot Bruce into the past. He travels throughout history, these fun crazy eras, until eventually he's back to present day Gotham City. Now the series is 6 issues, so we get 6 different types of Batman. This is like a 6-in-1 point. It's pretty juicy. So issue 1 gives us a caveman style Bruce Wayne. He meets an immortal caveman as well who becomes Vandal Savage. Issue 2, Bruce has to deal with witches. Okay. Issue 3, Batman is front and center in the high seas. Pirate Batman going head to head, of course, with Pirate Blackbeard. Enough said. Issue 4, we move to the Wild Wild West, where Bruce is a talented gunfighter, yet still he doesn't like guns and chooses not to kill. Vandal Savage returns here, but this time with the help of one Jonah Hex. Lovely. Issue 5, we find Bruce in what appears to be the 1930s, right after his parents actually died. So Bruce is taken to the hospital to recover from a gunshot from the previous Tale Out of Time, and that's when he meets a woman named Marcia. Marcia believed that Thomas Wayne actually killed his wife and then faked his own death. She was a friend of Martha's, so she was trying to get some peace of mind, trying to get to the bottom of this. So Bruce followed her to a graveyard without her knowing, and then that's when we find out she's actually a member of the Black Glove organization, and she intended on sacrificing Bruce to Barbados. She wanted immortality all along. Don't we all? Issue 6 ties everything together nicely, so if you haven't read it yet and this is piquing your interest, go check it out for yourself. Finish it off. It's a good time. And if you're enjoying this list as well so far, don't forget to share the love and hit that thumbs up. You guys rock. Thank you so much. Now back to some weird Batman alternates. Number 7, Darkclaw. Coming from the Amalgam universe where DC and Marvel combine powers, figuratively and literally, we get a Wolverine Batman double feature. First appearing in Legends of the Darkclaw issue 1 back in 1996, at just age 5, young Logan Wayne witnessed the death of his parents. So we have that Batman origin story sprinkled in to lay the foundation. Good stuff, promising stuff right there. And then Logan Wayne was then sent to live with his uncle in Canada, but after poachers ambushed his home, we have even more family members biting the bullet. So far, so sad. Afterwards, Logan Wayne enlisted in the Royal Canadian Air Force Force and soon after the Weapon X program. That's where the Wolverine origins really start to come in. Logan Wayne got the adamantium treatment, but it was deemed a failure in a way because Logan wasn't a mindless brute. He kept his sanity. So now we're starting to get a little bit more positive. This is good, right on. Afterwards, he was a free man. He studied criminology, forensics, martial arts, gymnastics, and all 127 major styles of combat. That mixed with the claws. Good game, dude. Good game. Number 6, Bat-Zaro. Making his first full appearance in Superman Batman issue 20, the world's worst detective and just a straight up villain, Bat-Zaro is the opposite of Batman. Morals, speech, combat, body weight, everything is opposite. So when you have a superhero like Batman who doesn't kill, tries to save the day, and solves crimes, the opposite is bound to be pretty brutal. Bat-Zaro had not one, but 2 pistols that he loved shooting around, and a chain, of course, to whack people with. And he had an upside down bat symbol to remind folks who's who. You know, in case the grinning shark teeth wasn't enough. He idolizes Bruce Wayne though, funny enough. It's pretty weird because the origins of Bat-Zaro go way back to the Joker. See, Joker created Bat-Zaro simply because he wanted to officially kill a Batman. But when plans went south, Joker tried to fire a bullet into the Batman and Bat-Zaro jumped in the way, sacrificing his life for Batman's. Is this tragic? Yes. Is it a weird one? Absolutely. Number 5, Red Death. Coming from the Dark Multiverse on Earth 52, Dark Days the Casting, issue 1, we meet a Bruce Wayne with the same origins that we're used to. Now he eventually became a hero, yada yada yada, and he fought alongside Robin, and then the next Robin, and then the next Robin. His life was taking a harder toll on him. He was watching all these sidekicks bite the bullet, so now he was desperate to find a new power, a new way to prevent his partners from maybe, I don't know, dying. So he looked at his world's Flash, and he saw his super speed and thought to himself, you know what? I could use that Speed Force better than him. What a statement right there. So he took out every Flash villain himself, kept their advanced weapons, and then used those weapons to fight the Flash. He drove them both into the Speed Force with the Batmobile and the Cosmic Treadmill, and then he absorbed all of Barry's super speed. Now after Batman came back from said Speed Force trip, he referred to himself as Batman the Red Death, where he would then brutally kill Gotham's criminals in the blink of an eye. But here's the kicker, here's the bad part. Gets worse rather. Barry still lived inside his mind. He would beg Batman, or sorry, Red Death, to stop the killing. Imagine hearing somebody in your head. I mean, that alone is a nightmare. Number 4, Civil War Batman. Batman teaming up with Abe Lincoln. Yep, let's go. Batman the Blue, the Gray, and the Bat was released in 1993 from Elliot S. Magan and Alan Weiss. When you need to protect the government's massive stash o' gold, who else do you call but the Caped Crusader and his horse appropriately named Apocalypse? This is a fun story because this era is just too wild to be boring. But in this Elseworld story, Abe Lincoln knows that Bruce Wayne is Batman. But it's Abe Lincoln, he can keep a secret or 2 or 3. Bruce had a bat fly in his window the night Abe's messenger arrived, so he took it as a sign and made an epic old-timey batsuit. He's accompanied by Robin, but in here he's named Redbird, and then we find out that old-timey Bruce is actually behind the whole operation this entire time. You lied to Abe Lincoln for gold? Shame. Shame. You're already rich in some universes. You don't need gold. Or maybe he's rich because he stole that gold. Number 3, Bat Baby. Making his first steps in Batman issue 147, the 600th time Batman appeared in comics, we see Bruce Wayne as a baby. So after Nails Finney and his gang made a shrink ray, they set their sights on Batman and it worked like a charm. It was only a shrink ray though. He didn't de-age mentally, which is even better almost. So now he had the same strength and aggression as a full-grown man in a toddler's body. This sounds like the worst case scenario, but Batman was kind of okay with it. He worked with what he got. He's like, okay, if people are gonna treat me as a baby, I'm just gonna dress like a baby. And then he wore a bat suit that no baby has ever worn ever. Classic Batman. Number 2, Holy Batman. Batman Holy Terror was an Elseworlds one-shot released in 1991, written by Alan Brennert. We find Reverend Bruce Wayne. How holy and fun is this? It's 1658, and in this universe, Lord Oliver Cromwell recovered from that fever and he maintained his hold on England. Later in the 20th century, Thomas Wayne, physician to ye old Gotham Town's council, was killed, same with his wife. Now James Gordon is on the case trying to get to the bottom of it, but he believes this was more than just a mugging. So he befriended young Bruce Wayne to maybe try and find some more info. Cut to 20 years later, Gordon is now Gotham Town's High Inquisitor, and Bruce is about to become a priest, and that's when Gordon finally tells Bruce the truth about his parents. He reveals that a man named Joseph Chill was behind the whole thing. The government took down one of their own. How peculiar. Priest in the sheets and bat freak in the streets. That's how we like it. And finally, coming in at number 1, The Bat. Batman Castle of the Bat was released in 1994, written by Jack C. Harris with pencils by Bo Hampton. We're really leaning into the literal bat theme on this list. I kinda love it, not gonna lie. Taking place in South Germany 1819, we get a scene similar to that in The Dark Knight. A masked highwayman robs a carriage. The passenger asks the man if he's ever heard tales of the demon who protects the land, and the highwayman scoffs, says, "Oh, that's just superstitious, I don't believe in that." And then a bat monster comes in and rips his head off. Dr. Bruce Wayne hears about this attack, and at his home, his castle rather, he tells his hunchback servant Alfredo, that the beast had attacked once again. What beast? What is he talking about? So when Bruce was a kid, his parents were killed in a carriage on a road. So Bruce and Alfredo found Thomas Wayne's brain, collected some body parts, added some electricity, and voila, now Thomas Wayne is back. And he looks like shit. Once bat fluid is added, he becomes a living nightmare of a monster, and his first plan was of course to get revenge on the same guy who killed him decades earlier. We saved the weirdest for last, that's for sure.